Hello all, welcome back to CAD Technologies. Today in this video, we'll be learning how to make this component using CATIA as the CAD tool. The same video has been uploaded with CREO using CREO as the CAD tool. I'll drop the link in the description below. You can look into it if you're interested. Now, let's begin making this model. We have four views. This is the front view, the right view as well as the top view, the third angle projection, and there's also another detailed view given to us to show the detailed description of the features provided in the circle. Like yes, you can see 25, 10, etc. This is your detail C. Now let's begin making the component by considering the base. Let's get back to CATIA and start creating it in our part design as we are working in our part design. Now, in the top view, I'd like to make the sketch. Let me check if the top view is correct. Now, in this, I'd like to make the slot. Since the shape is of the slot, I'll give what dimensions I require by maintaining symmetry. We know that the distance from these two lines are 80 and the center to center distance is 120. Center to center distance is 120. Now, as per the drawing, this elongated hole is added up to 10. So, we can use a pad command and give the distance up to 10. Let's make this feature next. As you can see, there is a major circle which is a 55 with two different arcs which are the distance of 120, which is similar to the elongated hole sketch. Now let's begin making this profile. The profile is actually at a distance of 60. So let's try to take that 60. Now on this plane, I'd like to add the material using my pad command. Now we already know that there are two arcs onto the opposite side with 12 radii. Usually gives dia, I change it to radii and give it 12. Now the distance is similar to the elongated hole feature, so I am just trying to maintain concentricity, so I do not have to give 120 again. Now the center feature, the center circle is of 55 diameter. So let me take 0, 0 and give 55 as its diameter. You can actually use any feature or any option while making this whole circle. For instance, if you do not want to make it this way, for example, I have actually taken a circle. I can just select the circle and start giving my coordinates as well. If I know the center is 0 and h comma v is 0 and the radius, which is actually 22 point, sorry, it gives you that particular circle as well, 27.5. It's up to you, you can do this as well, or you can directly take a circle and make it exactly at the center, which is 0, 0 and then start dimensioning it. Whichever you feel flexible while using the software can be done. Now, there are different type of lines as well, so I'd be using a bitangent line, so it's a little easier for me to make it. If you want to repeat any command in CATIA more than once, double click on it quickly so it does not exit the command as soon as you finish it once. And escape obviously will exit the command. Now let me try to trim off whatever is not necessary. So instead of doing that, I'll just double click on this and then start using it as many times I'd like, which I have just told you. Now exit, add this to the next surface. Now, let's continue. I'd like to make this feature next because this feature is actually dependent on the 55 diameter circle. So I have done this feature first and then I'd like to add this one. So let me do that. I'll take the top view. I'll use pad and I'll make the sketch inside the command itself. My reference will be this, so I'd like to use that as my reference. Now I'd like to make the sketches. First one, and mirror it onto the opposite side. Now I can mirror this whole feature later, so I'm leaving it in construction so I can maintain the center to center dimension which they have given to us as 90. The radius of this also is actually given, which is supposed to be R10. So I'd like to take that as R10 radius and 10. Let me take a circle in the center, not in a construction. So it records with that, and then use my bitangent line to create the lines. This is the sketch. Let's trim off whatever is not needed like we have done as usual. Now let's try to add this material. I haven't trimmed off this circle. Now let's try to add this material to the distance provided to us, which is 25. Let me try to add this up to 25. Now since the same feature is actually on the other side, I can just directly mirror it with respect to the center, so it creates the same feature onto the other side. Now, let me take the isometric view. Now there is also a circle which is at 75. So I'd like to take a plane to 75, and on that plane let's try to create the sketch using this as my reference, because the dimensions are the same, and to avoid repeating the dimensions over and over again, I am trying to use the references and I am trying to take the sketch. Now this sketch should be padded or added or extruded up to the surface. There are ribs as well, as you can see, so let's make that. On the front plane I am trying to make a sketch, I'm sorry. Now let me project the required edges, which is this as well as this. Now let's try to make the sketch, which is a simple line. Now I'd like to coincide the line on this. The dimensions which they have mentioned from this edge to this is supposed to be 5. This point to this edge is supposed to be 5, and the other dimension is supposed to be 2. Great. Now once I exit, I'll use stiffener. Stiffener is usually used to give supports, and the thickness is 8, which again is provided in the drawing in the top view. Now since the same thing is again being made on the other side, instead of redoing it, I'd like to mirror it. Let me just select the stiffener first. It's actually taking stiffener as the mirror, so I'll just not do that again. This is here. Now, isometric view back again. There is a small slot cut at the bottom, if you can see, to 3, which is in this shape. This can be done by simply offsetting this face to 15. So I'll make that first as well. If you want, like, you can use a sketch or you can use a pocket, it's up to you. But I'd only offset a face. Rather than offsetting the complete thing, I'll only offset this. This is up to 15. I'm sorry, it was minus 15. I can mirror this onto the opposite side and start making my lines. Again, you can use bitangent lines. This is a little more easier. And exit. Now I want to cut this, as in I want to remove the material to up to 3. So I can use pocket, which is used to remove the material usually. So once I say that, it usually cuts the material to 3. Now, let's understand how to give holes next. There are different type of holes which are drilled. I'd like to give the 40 first. So let me try to take the 40. The reason I'm trying to do this first is because there are a few wings which I have to later maintain inside the body. So let me try to take the 40 and then continue by making the wings. Since it's exactly at the center, I'd like to maintain concentricity, which usually helps, or you can also coincide with 0, 0. And the diameter is 40, and it has to be drilled up to this face. That's your picture. Now, these wings are actually at a distance of 4. So, I'll take a plane on to the other direction to 4, and on this plane, I'd like to make the sketch. Now, I want this as my reference, and the other sketches which I am about to make will obviously be my reference for making those cuts. Let me use horizontal and vertical infinite lines as my center lines, so I can maintain symmetry a little more easier than the last time. Center. The feature actually is of 20, so let me try to take the 20 here. Now, I will actually make this cut, so it maintains the wings. So let's take those cuts by creating different lines. Assume this is one line, I have another line here. Now I can mirror these lines as well, so I can maintain the 5 distance which they have actually mentioned in the drawing. I can show you that as well. This is the 5. Now these I'll keep it in construction because we use them for reference of 5, and trim off whatever is not needed. Now I can use the trim to create this shape directly. Do this, and let me try to do this as well. Or actually, I think it's better that I make a circle again. And again, as we have done earlier, let's try to trim off whatever is not needed. The trim is actually doing it in construction, which might not really help us. So once I exit, this will be your sketch. Since there are open profiles, I'd like to close them. I haven't seen that these are open, so let me try to delete these as well. Okay, and the dimension for this is again gone. So I'd like to take this as diameter, which is 20, and then exit. Now I want to cut this. Okay, so I'll use the simple pocket to do it up to the next on the other direction. So once I do that, the cut will be made. Now I can pattern this on 4 sides because it's required to do it on 4 sides. I would require a complete crown with 4, 360 as the angle and reference element I can select, or you can simply say right click and select the axis as per our requirement. But over here Z axis will be our requirement. We can use Z axis as well. So once I say OK, you can see the slot cuts. These slot cuts are these cuts. Now there are other holes as well. So let's try to take the hole from the bottom, which is drilled at 30 with diameter 30 at the center location. So I can give 0, 0, like how I said earlier, you can coincide at 0, 0. I am trying to do that right now. Coincide at 0, 0. Now, I know the diameter is 30 and the depth is 30 as well. So once I do that, it drills the hole. Now, there is also another hole which is 10 of 10 diameter which goes through. So I can again use the same command. Use the top face or any face you like. It's supposed to be diameter 10. Let me try to maintain concentricity as I already have a circle and it's at a common center. You can again maintain 0, 0 as well. There is no issue with it. These are your center holes. As in, we have finished making only this part. Now, let's try to make these ones, which is of these circles, which is of 12 diameter. Now, again, I'm trying to use the same hole feature. It's not up to the next. It has a certain depth, which they have mentioned, which is 30, and it has a V bottom. So once I give the parameters, I'd like to maintain concentricity with respect to the arc. the center of this as well as this is the same. So once I say OK or exit the workbench, it tries to drill the hole. Now since the same hole is being drilled on the other side, it's very easy for me to use a mirror command. Now same manner on this face I have a hole as well, which is actually of 10 dia. So let me try to take that as well. 10 dia, it's actually up to next. Start making my positions. See exit and say OK. The same is again repeated, so I don't have to drill it again. I can directly use a mirror command with respect to the center. Now, initially while making the sketch, I have actually taken symmetry on either sides. The reason to do that is to have this easy access to create mirrors, because if you have 0 comma 0 exactly at the center, 0 comma 0 comma 0 exactly at the center, then it will be very easy for you to do mirrors like these, because your planes will be exactly at the center. So while making any component, first decide your 0 comma 0 comma 0 properly and then continue with your modeling. Now let me try to make these 4 counterbore holes as well, which is actually at a distance apart. This is 40 and this is 165, which is not mentioned in the drawing. This is 40, this is 165. So let me try to take that. Mirror. Now let's try to drill the hole. I want the hole on this point. It has to be drilled on this face. If you have a point, you can select it that way. I want type, which is a counterbore. The parameters related to counterbore are only showed in this tab. So you can give the counterbore dimension, which is actually 10, and depth 2, which they have already mentioned in the drawing. And the other one is 6 through. So under extension, I'll take 6, and obviously it's through. So once I say OK, it drills the feature. Now it's easy for me to pattern because I already have an option in this which is called user pattern. All you have to do is select the points. The feature is already selected and say OK, it drills the feature. No. For finishing operations, let's try to finish by giving the rounds, etc. The rounds are actually at this corner, the rounds are 10. So I begin by giving that as in these edges and when I go back on the other side, these edges, they are of 10. This is the 10 round. Now, rest of the body is usually maintaining 2, which they have mentioned R2 TYP. So let me try to do that in a really proper way. So let me try to give rounds here first. The reason why I'm taking round here is so that the round flows, like it just flows this way. It's a little more easier for me to make it. Now, let me try to take a round over here. As you can see, once I select, it flows throughout the face, the edge as well. Apart from this, I have this and this too. There is no round there, so it has not given us the flow. And I have it on the top face as well. So let me finish this first and then maybe we'll go to that next. It has it on this face as well and this face as well. So once I say OK, it usually tends to. Okay, I don't think the upper one is of 2 mm. So let me try to uncheck this. The upper one is probably of a different radii. Both are of a different radii. Maybe one. Yes, both are of a different radii. So let me try to take this. This is of 1. This is how you make a simple part modeling using your CATIA as the tool. I'm sorry that there were few dimensions which are missing in the drawing, which probably has some issue. We'll get into that. Now there are few rounds inside this as well. So I'll finish the tutorial by giving these rounds, and these are the rounds. Okay. Please feel free to look into more of our drawings in both CREO as well as your CATIA. If it helps, or if you have any more ideas, you can drop a comment on the comment box. You can also email us if you have any queries, or if you want any more information regarding training in both CATIA as well as CREO. Thank you.